please welcome up for his first service as our new minister, Reverend Jonathan Zenz.
Pierre, just a little bit of housekeeping. I will put this back, I promise I won't put this. I am getting a podium, by the way. The center that I have come from has graciously bought me a podium. It's being built and will be delivered at some point. I don't know when.
Tomorrow.
The way things are going, yes. So here I am, and here you all are. And it is such a pleasure to be here. You don't know what a pleasure it is for me to be here. I am absolutely overwhelmed with emotion around this entire shift in my life. And I am so excited about what this is, about this journey that we are all on together now. And I'm so happy to be joining you to be on this journey. So thank you all very much. So I figured today was a good day to talk about beginnings. New beginnings. But I should probably, well, there have been a lot of questions about the journey for me to get here, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. I think I mentioned when I was here before that all through ministerial school, for some reason Toronto was one of those places that kept popping up in my mind as a place that I would like to have a ministry. It just kept coming up. Every list I would write out of, oh, where would I like to go? I'd like, well, you know, the Pacific Northwest would be nice. Or I could go back to my home state of Arizona and open a church there. I could, you know, do any number of things because the possibilities are infinite. Every single time I considered, though, Toronto always came up for me.
They call us Hollywood North too.
I know. I do know that. Yeah. At the top of the list? You know what?
Some of us will test.
Here's the thing. It was the one that was most consistent. It was on every list, and there are other things that dropped off. So in that sense, yeah, it was absolutely the top of the list.
Very good.
But, you know, I look online and I say, well, I've got, you know, there's a center that's already there, and you know, I don't want to necessarily go someplace and try and start a new work, especially since, well, I'm not a citizen of Canada. That would have been very difficult, because I wouldn't just be able to show up and say, hey, here's my plaque, I'm a minister, and I'm going to open a church now. So, it was just divine timing that this all worked out. Because, I don't know if you know, it was the week that I graduated from ministerial school, the week that I was basically deemed a minister, that Tony, my friend, sent me a Facebook message saying, congratulations on becoming a new minister. By the way, we need a minister. And it was a shock. It was an absolute shock. And from that day, everything started to align. Everything started to align. And it is because of living a life of purpose, living a life of driven, focused, spiritual purpose. I always said wherever I need to be as a minister is where I'm going to end up. And I'm open to wherever that is, even if it's really cold. Because, let me tell you, I've spent 12 years living in LA. I was from Arizona prior to that. I did have a brief stint in New York City for 3 years. But boy, this is cold.
Like it wasn't the Edmonton church.
Yeah, that's true. So new beginnings. Well, we're all in this together. We're all in a new beginning together. And, oh, I also forgot, there's some things that I have learned already in my time being in Canada. Toques, yeah. Toques are not just for chefs. We don't call them toques at all. We call them caps. So it's just, and I looked at the word when it was spelled out and I thought, toque, what's that?
Welcome to Canada.
That's the west side. Yeah.
Also, I'm much better at converting miles to kilometers than I thought. Not so good with the Fahrenheit Celsius thing. I found out yesterday the CN Tower is super high. And I'm afraid of heights, so when I first got up there, I looked out and I was, whoa, it's a little queasy to my stomach. It takes 30 minutes to get through immigration.
For you to get through.
It takes 30 minutes to open a bank account. It takes an entire day at Rogers to get a cell phone. But I got it. So. There's a quote that I found online, a woman named Maria Robinson. She writes this: "Nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today to make a new ending." Today is the beginning of the next phase of everything. This moment is the beginning of the next phase of everything for every single person in this room. Not just for me, for everyone. And it is not just about being in this center, it is about you in your life. It is about you stepping forward in your life, recognizing that every single thing is a new beginning in your life. One of the first things that I learned in practitioner studies was that you cannot change the past. You can change your relationship to the past. You can change the things that don't work for you, but you can only do that in this moment and move forward. So every moment is a new beginning. And I love living that ideal. I love knowing that in every moment I can change everything in my life. I can change everything and start fresh and anew. It's such a good feeling. And every single person here can do that. Every single person here is doing that, whether you are conscious of it or not. That's the truth. Nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today to make a new ending. And remember that the ending is not the goal. The goal is the journey. My life in LA is over now. And I do have emotion around that. You know, I mean, I built a very good life for myself there. And so it was an interesting, not a difficult choice. I won't say it was a difficult choice to come here. It was not at all. It was the choice. That's for sure. That's what I do know. This was the choice for me. And when it presented itself and everything aligned so effortlessly for this all to happen, I knew it was the right choice. Because when you make the right choice that is for your highest good, everything unfolds brilliantly before you. And that's exactly what my experience was. So take a look at the things that are going on in your life. Are there places where you're feeling blocked, coming up against blockage? Take a look at that and look at the other choices, because sometimes we may feel like we're choiceless, but we are not. When you open up to the infinite possibility of choice, the truth is everything will fall together perfectly and easily and effortlessly for you when the right choice for your highest good is made. That's the way that this philosophy works. That's the way that this science works. I've made some big changes, I've made some big moves in my life in the past that were not the right choice. When I graduated from college, on a whim, I decided to move to New York City. Now, those of you who were here before, you know that I have a background in acting. That was what I was trained in college. And I thought, you know, all through college, I thought, well, I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to make it in the movie business, and oh, how exciting is that? And then at the very last minute, almost the last possible moment, like weeks before graduation, I said, nope, I'm going to New York. And I went to New York, and I was there for 3 years, and it was a horrible experience, and I floundered, and I got involved in a very bad relationship. Not that you need to know about all of that, but because that's over, that's ancient history. But as a teaching tool, it's good to recognize that there was something I was coming up against that I was not willing to look at the time. I was pulling a geographic. I needed to change something in my life, so I go to New York, forgetting that I'm taking myself with me, and the problems just come along with me. So I get to New York and I flounder and I get into this bad relationship, and I walk in one day, we were living together, and I say, so I've decided to move to LA, again, on a whim. The idea of, well, this is the way out. I'm not happy in this relationship. I'll just say, I'm moving to LA, and move to LA, and then leave him there, and it's all over. And I didn't have the guts to say no when he said, great, I'll move with you. So he moved with me, and I floundered a little bit more, but thank God for LA. You know, LA gets a bad rap in a lot of ways, and I get it. It's very, the culture there is a very different culture. There tends to be a lot more in the way of superficiality. But there's also a very, very deep and very steeped spiritual sense there. And that's what I found. And that's what started me on this journey. So, when I found that, everything started aligning perfectly. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Ministerial school, at minimum, takes 6 years. From your first day of Science of Mind 100 all the way through your last day in the ministerial intensives. Minimum of 6 years. Everything aligned perfectly for me to do it in 5. I started Science of Mind 100 in the fall of 2006. After I'd already realized, wait, that I am meant to be a minister. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Everything aligned. I was in 100, I immediately went into 200, immediately went into 300. While I was in 300, halfway through 300, my minister started a new ministerial class. And he said, I know you're not through your practitioner studies yet, but you're ready, and I would like you to step into the ministerial class as well. If you are ever given that opportunity, don't do it. The amount of work in Science of Mind 300, compounded with all the work that I had to do for Science of Mind 400, it's a lot. But it's what aligned perfectly to move forward. And everybody has that opportunity. Look for the places in your life that will align perfectly for you to move forward. So, I was always in search of something, and I found it in this philosophy. And I don't ever tell anybody that this is the philosophy. This is the philosophy that works for me. And I suspect for many of you, this is the philosophy that works for you. But I never say that this is the only thing, this is the only possibility, this is the only way to think. I would never dare say that. Because the truth is, God is infinite. So there are infinite possibilities in terms of how to experience and express God, and how to step into your highest, most efficient and effortless life of grace and ease and happiness and joy. It is infinite, the possibilities. And I won't even say that I have found the final thing. This is what works for me now. My feeling is this is what will work for me for quite a while. Possibly till the day I transition. But I'm on a constant search. And one of my joys in being a minister is getting to teach and be taught. And that's why I'm so excited also by all of you here, that I get to be taught by each and every one of you. Ernest Holmes writes, we do not teach that you can get what you want in this philosophy. That's in the Science of Mind textbook. We do not teach that you can get what you want. Because for a lot of people, when you come into this philosophy, it's about what can I get? How do I achieve that? How do I get the nice car? How do I get a lot of money? How do I get? Forgetting that the getting is all about the circumstances of your life. This was a big eye-opener for me in this philosophy. And it's a big eye-opener for me in this moment too. I did not get this church. We were attracted to each other. somehow, some way, that law took over and said, this is the highest good for everybody involved at this time. And I trust that. I step into that place of trust. And I know and trust that everybody who is here gets something out of this relationship that we have now. And it may be for a brief period of time. It may be forever. But there's a reason you were here. You were drawn here on purpose and with purpose. And so I encourage you to live on purpose and with purpose. So consider for yourselves what brought you to this philosophy. Just for a moment. What was it that brought you to this philosophy? Was it to get something? Or was it to start to learn how to live? Because when I got that this philosophy for me is a life and a lifestyle, that's when I really deeply embodied and started to step into greater expressions of life and love and happiness and wealth. That's the way it works. Many people hear change your thinking, change your life, and they misinterpret it as change your thinking and get what you want. Change your thinking, change your life. Because when you change your thinking, your life does change. And you know what? A nice consequence of that, you get what you want. That's the truth. But if you're going after what you want, then you're off just a little bit. Most of the time, it'll run from you. So change your thinking, change your life. Ernest Holmes continues, this science does not promise something for nothing. It does, however, tell us that if we comply with the law of cause and effect, the law complies with us. The law is impersonal. The law is simply doing what we intend. It is simply acting on our behalf. It is simply saying yes. It is simply corresponding to our thought at all times. And as it corresponds with our thought, our experience is matching that. That's the way this works. No man can demonstrate peace and cling to unhappiness. So you remember, I was in New York, I was very unhappy, and I thought, oh, if I go here, I'll be happy. But I was clinging to that unhappiness. And when I got to LA, it took me a while to get rid of that. I was not living a peaceful life there. Until I recognized that getting rid of the unhappiness and focusing only on that which I desire, which is peace and love and harmony, that is how I get what I want. That's how you get what you want. You focus on the good, you focus on the peace, you focus on the love. Man can demonstrate resignation and call it peace, but it will not be peace. Man can demonstrate resignation and call it peace, but it will not be peace. Peace only comes when you focus on peace. So another place I was clinging on to was my previous center, the Nohoar Center for New Thought. I've had one teacher in this philosophy, Reverend James Mellon, who is a brilliant, brilliant man. And I latched on to this philosophy so quickly that I decided I was going to work at the center. I became the administrator at that center for 6 years. In April of last year, I had a conversation with Reverend James, and I said, you know, I am not going to be open to the next thing if I continue to work here. This was a huge leap of faith for me. And we were driving in the car, and in that moment I said, so I'm going to give you my notice. I'm giving you 6 weeks notice. But I've got to give notice because I can't move on to the next thing. I'm about to become a minister. I've got to step into something else. And there was a shift and a transition, and it was there were points at which it felt like it was very difficult, and they still call me, asking me about things, which is great. But that's again how this philosophy works. Because I had let go of that, this opportunity opened up for me. And I wrote here, not everything changes in this instant. I'm not saying that it can't, but this is a journey we're on. Remember, this is the first step. This is the new beginning of the journey we're on, and that's where we are at all times. So, it can change in an instant, but boy, you've got to have quite the mental equivalent, and you've got to really believe it. You've got to believe, you've got to embody the idea for it to change like that. I asked Alex to sing that song specifically because of what the song says. And so I encourage you to look into yourself. I'm going to talk a little bit about these lyrics, about what this song says. There's more in this world than we see. Just leave these illusions behind and run with me. Remember, everything you see is an illusion. And it is an illusion that was created by your mind. Everything. So when I say everything can be changed in an instant, that's because everything is an illusion. And it should let you off the hook if things are not changing fast enough in your life. Let yourself off the hook, because it's simply the process of your own mind getting on board with your highest good. Your highest good is assured. Your highest good is inevitable if you simply give over to it. Step back, open up, and give over to your highest good. When all of the things that you thought you would be pass you by, we'll find what we need in our lives. When all of the things you thought you would be pass you by, we find what we need in our lives. I thought I was going to be a big old movie star. I really did. And I love acting. And, if I don't know. I've gone back and forth about whether I'm going to continue to pursue acting or not. It's a hobby now. But boy, I thought I was going to be a movie star, because that's what everybody in LA is, right? You see a lot of them.
I thought they were waiters.
Well, yeah, most of the actors in LA are waiters. I will tell you, I finished college. Now, here's a specific and determined mind. I worked restaurant jobs all the way through college, and I finished college and I said, I don't care. I will never be the cliche of the actor who's a waiter. I will never work in restaurant service again, which is no disrespect to anybody who does. It just wasn't for me. And to this day, following college, I've never worked in a restaurant again. That's a determined and specific mind. Well, acting was not for my highest good. It's fun. But what I recognize too is that it does not allow me, it was not allowing me to be my authentic self, which ministry does. And one thing I will always promise to every single one of you is that I will always be authentic, I will always be honest, and I will always be transparent. Those are the things that are important to me. And from that place, from that understanding, you get to know who I am. And you get to see how this philosophy works through my expression of it. That's what a minister is here to do. To be an example. And so my life will always be a life of example. That's what I've committed myself to. So when those things pass you by, you find what you need in your life. And that's exactly what has happened for me. I have found what I need in my life, and that is to simply live this truth. There's a very interesting line in the song that took me off guard when I first heard the song several years ago, when the second verse, it reads, "We are covered by a mask that we think is our sin." And sin is one of those words that just irks me. Because I was not brought up in a, I was not brought up in a Christian faith at all. I was not brought up with the concept of sin, except obviously you're around it and people talk about sin and about being sinners, and it's so depressing. And more deeply understanding the idea of sin, that we are punished by our sins and not for our sins. That sin is simply making a mistake. And when you make a mistake, like I did when I moved to New York, I'm punished by the sin. I don't have a great experience. My life starts to fall apart. I get involved in a bad relationship. And those things can compound until you make a new decision, until you make a new choice. We're covered by a mask that we think is our sin. See, there it is again, the illusion. It is simply an illusion. Never realize that the truth is within. The truth is within. So today, I encourage you to look within. I encourage you to, as the song says, open your eyes and just see what the world is. Open your eyes and just see what the world is. Open your mind and you're free. Be able to look at the world amidst chaos, amidst destruction, amidst war, and see it with the eyes of God. Because yours are the eyes of God. You are the divine perfectly expressed in this life. God is you. There's not something out there. There is something in here. And it is expressing brilliantly, perfectly for your highest good at all times. You have the opportunity in this moment and in every moment to see the world with new eyes. To see the world from a place of, this is a new beginning for me. Whatever is happening in your mind is reflected in your world. So when you start to see it with new eyes, the things in your world change. Oprah Winfrey, a fantastic minister, by the way, wrote, "Breathe, let go, and remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you know you have for sure." This is the only moment you know you have for sure, so make it a great one. Live from that highest place. In the absolute, in God, in a deeper understanding and embodiment of your life as God, do you experience happiness. Beginnings are infinite. Every single moment is a new beginning. So today, right in this moment, begin right now, being the more you know you would like to be. Namaste. God is here because you are here. God is here because you are here. And what has transpired today is a perfect expression of God through each and every one in this room. The words that have been spoken by everyone, the songs that have been sung, are a perfect message. They're a perfect alignment with truth. And so I give over to that in this moment as I take this breath and the next and the next.
Now that I know the truth, I can't go back to what I used to do. I can't pretend to what I believed before. I can't live without your love. I can't live without your light. I can't live without your message. I can't live without your warmth. I can't live without your wisdom. I can't live without your message.
And so in this moment, the message is clear. Because the message is the message of that one thing going on, the only thing that is ever going on. This divine energy expressing itself through, in, and as all things. This divine energy is present everywhere. Because it is the makeup of all things. It is the very breath of my breath. It is a deeper understanding of life, of love, of harmony, of peace, of joy. And so in this moment I recognize and understand that I am one with that perfect divine energy. Every single person in this room, every single person beyond these walls, every single person I encounter is one with and as this perfect divine spirit, the one thing going on. And so from this understanding, I know that these words that I speak have power because they are the words of God being spoken through me. Just as every word everyone speaks are the words of God being spoken by every single person. And so I give over to this new beginning. I give over to this deeper understanding, and I give over to greater expression in my life. And I trust and know that what has been spoken here today resonates brilliantly and perfectly in exactly the way that it needs to resonate and express and inform. I give over to that. I give over to a deeper embodiment of the divine in my life. And I trust that every single person here does the same. For that is all we are ever here to do, is to express God. To express from the highest, deepest, most profound understanding. I give over to that. And it is with a grateful heart that I let this be the truth. I am so grateful for my time here. I am so grateful for everyone's expression. I am so grateful for everyone being here. I am simply living in gratitude in all that I say, think, and do. And with that, I release my word as law, because it is the law. And the law corresponds perfectly in my life. And the law corresponds perfectly in the lives of every single person here. I release it, I let it go, and together we say, and so it is.
Now that I know God, I can't hide behind this old facade. I can't lie to myself. I know that I'm not perfect health. I can't live without your love. I can't live without your light. I can't live without your message. I can't live without your warmth. I can't live without your wisdom. I can't live without your message. I can't live without your message. have to go back.